Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. And, you know, there are areas we need to watch. I mean, attitudes. One of the sessions we discussed yesterday, in its dealings with other countries, Australia should not show any arrogance. It should show some modesty, and in societies where situations are different from ours, they're just different. They're not necessarily worse or better. And I think there are a couple of examples where the government attitudes have not been helpful in recent times and need addressing. I'm a retired public servant, so I can say this now. One, of course, I think is the handling of asylum seekers. And on my tour, my recent trip to Asia, I found that the normal view is, look, you're a huge country, 3 times the size of Texas, with a population of 22 million people. We're all heavily populated countries. This is your problem. Why are you trying to push them back to us? And that's something we need to watch, because there are, they don't say it, but there are undertones that there are still latent feelings of racism and religious intolerance in this country. And that's something we've always got to guard against, I think. And in a sense, because of our history, we're on a good behaviour bond in our own region, and that's something we need to keep in mind when we're dealing with it, particularly, I think, in the cultural and the education and training sector. I think another, mistakes happen, but another, I think, damaging thing was the sudden banning of all live cattle export to Indonesia without any prior consultation with Indonesia. I was in Indonesia at the time, and both I and our ambassador in Jakarta heard about this on Radio Australia, and as did the Indonesians. Now, this is simply bad management, and the government has since tried to correct it, but of course a lot of damage has been done. In relation to India, another large, enormous country which is moving forward very rapidly, then we still have attitudinal problems. The Indian press, I thought, sort of as the governor said, the press is inclined to blow up these headlines. I always remember one, I was in New York when the headline of the year came from one of, I think of Rupert Murdoch's papers. The headline of the year was, it got an award for this, headless body found in topless bar. And it's a problem we have to live with, the media, but there was, I think, considerable exaggeration in the Indian vernacular media of what was going on in Victoria. But nevertheless, it does damage, and you have to chip away at it all the time. There are other issues such as our reluctance to sell uranium to India. Now, there are reasons for that, but they are upset because we sell uranium to China, or we're prepared to sell uranium to China and to Russia, but not to India. And they see that as somewhat discriminatory. There are sound disarmament reasons for that policy, but I'm sure they can be got around. So I guess the point I'm making here is that there's an ongoing struggle to sort of get the Australian brand and the Australian profile at a more appropriate and more accurate level in some of these major countries. I've recently, as I said, travelled to the region. I've made 2 visits to Vietnam in the last 2 years. One was Mr. Rudd's Special Envoy on the Asia-Pacific Community, and another as co-leader of an Asia Society delegation. And I must say that that was a surprise to me, and I'm delighted to see that there were yesterday, I think 16 was it, 16 Vietnamese here, which is very good, and about 6 or 7 are still left. The others haven't gone to Sydney. But my impression of that trip was that, leaving aside China and India, there are other countries which are growing very rapidly. Indonesia, I've mentioned already, but Vietnam too. Vietnam, by population, is now the second largest country in ASEAN, and it's doing very, very well, I think. And what interested me is that I've been there for about 2 days, and nobody had mentioned the Vietnam War. And I asked somebody about this, and he said, oh, well, 60% of our population is under 30. They don't know about it. And that leads me to the point which I think several people have made, and including the Governor, that ACPET needs to look to the future and deal with that and not dwell on the past. And I think that I always found in Europe people look back at the past a bit, and I think the big advantage Asian countries have, which we can share, is to look to the future. So on that note, I think I've said enough, and thank you very much.